Hello and via live. Hello, my name is Christian. I'm the founder of the Disruptive Chef Entrepreneur Show. I'm also your host, and I know I say this at every episode, but today, if there's a guy which embodies disrupting, and especially being a chef as a disruptor, we have a very special guest for you today. Hello, my name is Christian again. I'm the host of the Disruptive Chef Entrepreneur Show. And today I have a very, very special guest today. His name is Chef Michael. And as I started the show, I had my list of the top 100 on it. You know, I have Arnold Schwarzenegger on it and all the other guys we want to talk to. But on the very top of the list was Chef Michael. And for Chef Michael, there's three reasons we absolutely adore Chef Michael. Number one, he's a phenomenal chef and very good in what he does. Number two, if I'm thinking of disruptive chef, he is a disruptor because not just as a chef entrepreneur, but he is a coach and he has an amazing business, how he supports the industry. And number three, he's an amazing human being. So with that, Chef Michael, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Christian. I appreciate it. You know, you confirmed what every grade school teacher has ever said about me growing up with the disruptor thing.
I love that. Chef Michael, give the audience the 5-minute cliff note, who you are, what you currently do, and how you serve the industry.
Sure. Yeah. So my name is Mike Matarazzo. I am the executive chef at a private country club in Charlottesville, Virginia. I've been there for about 10 years. About 2020, I started Be Better Life and Leadership Coaching, which is a coaching practice where I work with clients one-on-one, and I do group coaching, motivational speaking, and things like that. And, you know, I really kind of put out the message of the importance of self-awareness and mental health, but also leadership skills and effective leadership, creating positive cultures and things like that. So yeah, that's kind of my little side passion. And I also have a podcast that I'm about to revive called Kitchen Brain, hopefully here in the next couple of months. But yeah, happy to be here. I've been wanting to come on here for a while. I'm glad I'm finally here. So thank you for having me.
That's awesome. So Chef Michael and I spoke a little bit because I'm a big fan of his show. He needs to bring it back because every time I listen to it, I say, he sounds so amazing. I want to sound like him. And it's one of those things we all feel, I don't like the way I look on camera. I don't like the way I sound. I'm getting used to it. But every time I listen to you, I was like, it sounds like studio quality. I don't know how he does it. It sounds so amazing. So, but I'm really excited to spend some time with you. So talk to us a little bit how this, why food service and why become an executive chef, and where did that passion for helping others came in? So how did it work for you to be a chef? What brought you into the industry?
So for me, you know, I wasn't like a lot of people who started cooking at a very young age, or cooking at home. I mean, I would help my mom out with things. She cooked a lot when we were growing up, and I enjoyed helping her out, but I really wasn't paying attention to exactly what was going on. I was a music major when I got out of high school, and that really didn't prove to be what I was looking to do. I wasn't a stellar student, you know, got kicked out of college and you know, ended up kind of confused and kind of happened upon cooking by accident. I had worked in some restaurants and bagel shops and things like that on Long Island where I grew up. I got into the local community college program for hospitality management, and I had to take a food, you know, a culinary class, and I couldn't even boil water, right? So I take this class, I get really excited about it. It just really opened my eyes to a career path that I felt good about. And, you know, through meeting the right people, I went to the Culinary Institute of America. I met, you know, some people that are mentors to me, Russell Scott and all that. You know, you meet the right people, they kind of guide you on a path, and kind of grew from there. As far as the coaching thing, that was, you know, also something, you know, you never really imagine what you're going to be doing in the future. And, you know, I had some of my own experiences in life, you know, later in life too, where I really kind of realized the wiring, the hard wiring that happened in me, and I know that happens for a lot of chefs as they come up, to really kind of ignore themselves and push through and be strong and all those things. And it ultimately kind of destroyed me to a degree, back in 2017, 2018. And, from that, I gained a whole lot of self-awareness. And in
Yeah.
2020, when I became a 9 to 5 chef, I started doing content on social media, creating the Chefs for Change Facebook group. And it kind of just organically grew into the coaching practice. I became a certified life coach, and I love it. It's just a passion. I love helping people.
I absolutely, admire that and love that because, as you and I spoke earlier, I think the industry needs more of you. And you said something which I struggled for the longest time because I think in the culinary industry we are taught you need to do it all by yourself. You got to figure it out on your own. Asking for help is a weakness, and it's all the whole mentality of the military. Don't show no fear. Don't show any emotions. Just get it done. Where does this come in? So if you on your coaching side, do you see a lot of people coming out of the culinary industry, or is this just regular everyday folks?
Mostly people who are in the industry, and it's
Mhm.
not just culinary too. I work with,
Yep.
food and beverage directors, general managers, executive directors, things like that. But, because I'm a chef, I kind of have a little bit of an audience in that realm. So I do wind up, having clients that are in the culinary field. But yeah.
Yeah, for me, that's just, I think we need to bring this a little bit more to the forefront. It's not a very healthy industry. I think we all know that. And I honestly believe, and you and I spoke earlier, that if I can reach out to a you and you teach me one or two skills which help me shorten my learning curve, it's a win-win. And we just need to bring this out to the industry that that's totally okay to ask for help, and not just asking for help, having somebody who sees in you what we don't see in ourselves.
Yep.
So how do you do this? If somebody comes into the industry, talk to us a little bit more. Um, how you leverage your culinary expertise and transfer it into a coaching business.
I think it's about relatability, right? I hear from a lot of people who are interested in having me, maybe be a speaker for a season kickoff meeting or something like that. And, they if it's within the hospitality industry, they always kind of get around to that in our initial conversation. They always say, well, I there are motivational speakers out there that we've used before, but this is, you're in the space. That's what they
Hmm.
say, right? Like you're kind of in it. And I think too, for me, remaining a chef. I love being a chef. This is a side gig because I love what I do. I love where I'm at. I love
Yeah.
my team. So and I feel like I keep that relevance if I'm still in it. And I think if I remove myself from it, I don't think it would make anybody have any less respect or downplay what I'm doing. But also, I want to be in it still, so I can relate to people who are calling. So I think that's really helpful from people's perspective.
I love that. So, I consider chefs very high performers, and not just from a stress perspective, what it takes to be a successful chef is all the other things which go with it. We always joke about it. As a chef, you're the HR person, you're the counselor, you're the big brother, you're the coach, you're the mentor, you all of that. So what are some of the common challenges high performing food service individuals face in finding that balance and confidence, what you talking about in your coaching practice?
You said the answer in your question. Balance is the number one thing that I talk to people
Mm-hmm.
about and that people struggle with. How do I get better balance? With staffing shortages and the
Yeah.
demands of everything that we've been going through, how do I balance my life? And that is like the number one thing. Other things is, when you talk about being an entrepreneur, everybody has a dream. Some people they have this dream and they see themselves doing it. They get really excited when they see it, and they just can't bring themselves to make that leap for whatever reason that they have.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say those two things are probably the biggest things that cause people to kind of stumble.
Yeah, let's go a little deep on that. I'm really interested in that. So, do you think is it a mindset thing? Is it a skill thing? Is it a self confidence thing? Where do you think that comes in?
I think 100% a mindset thing. I
Hmm.
think I think most challenges that we have can be attributed to our mindset, right?
Yeah.
We get what we get in life because we see things the way that we do. And that really kind of encompasses, I think, why people take the actions that they take in life in general.
Hmm.
I was just engaging in a conversation with somebody in Messenger just a couple of days ago who was, been a career chef for a long
Hmm.
time and said, I'm interviewing for this job. It's out of the kitchen. It's still in food, but it's very different than what I've done. And
Hmm.
I'm conflicted because I have been doing this my whole life, and now I'm about to do something different. And my response to that was, when you talk about mindset, well, what if you said those words differently in your head? What if you actually said, which is true, I've been doing this my whole life. And because of that, I am now
Hmm.
prepared to take this step. And I know that I can be good at that. I have transferable skills.
Hmm.
And I think it's just, what you tell yourself is your reality.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it true. It just makes it your reality. And that's what I think, everybody could use a little bit more of the mindset calibration.
Yeah, I it so resonates with me when you say that because I spent Saturday with a really good friend of mine. We've been friends for 20 plus years. An amazing culinary, good leader, good visionary. I always think he had that entrepreneurial spirit, and there was something really significant what happened with him in his career. And the guy I met on Saturday or seen on Saturday is not the guy I know. And for me, it kind of comes back because even the way he used language, and you talk about this a lot in your coaching, and you just tapped into that now when he said, "It's my fault. I screwed up. This happened because I let my guard down. It was me, me, me." And then also he started out every single conversation, but I, and you and I talk a lot about this. I mean, how, and this is not just him. There's a lot of other chefs out there. Things do happen.
Yeah.
And how do I get myself out of a rut if I'm in a space like that and feel it's all my fault and there's no way out? How would you help somebody get out of that?
I think one of the hardest things that chefs are up against, or hospitality workers are up against, is the lifestyle and the schedule, right?
Yeah.
And I think that feeling alone is not a good thing. Being alone sometimes is really productive,
Yeah.
and carving out time for yourself. How do you spend the first 15 minutes of your morning, right? Do you get out of bed and scroll through your reels on your phone? What are your big distractions?
Mm-hmm.
Because I think really what it comes down to is people sitting down with a pen and paper and silence and actually getting to know themselves.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about self-awareness as a big buzzword, and I think it's one of those things people say it a lot and they don't really dig into what it means, right? It doesn't mean like I know when I'm happy or I'm sad or that's easy to figure out.
Mm-hmm.
But the why, what is making me unhappy? Why is it that I think I'm not worth something? What is it that's making me feel this way? And
Yeah. Yeah.
compare it to a time when you did feel self-worth and what was different and what do you need to do to get back to that, you
Mm-hmm.
know? So I think it's time. I think slowing down in order to move forward is very important. And we just go so fast all the time that we never slow down our minds enough to actually ask ourselves the questions.
I love that because for me, what was one of my pivoting moments was really being disciplined about a morning routine. And for me, I my morning routine is simple. So when I get here in the office, my first 20 minutes, half hour belong to me. Where I do meditation, I sit in silence because there's nothing better than sometimes sitting by yourself.
Mhm.
And then also for me, I don't journal. I think I should do it more. I do this usually the night before. But for me, I'm sitting here and I'm visualizing what are three things I want to get done for the day. And for me, I think that was my biggest I don't want to say change, but it was almost like an unfair advantage starting doing this because I'm telling people about this all the time. And I said, taking that half hour or hour for myself makes all that difference. And for me, I had to
Yep.
schedule it. So for now,
Yep.
my daughter needs to be out the door by 7, which is perfect. So I bring her, which gets me out the door by 7.
Yeah.
It's me early. And then I have time for that. So we hear this a lot with chefs. Oh, I don't need a morning routine. I don't have time. Um, and you also talked a little bit about morning routine. Talk to us a little bit where you, as a success coach, see the benefit of a scheduled morning routine.
I think it sets the tone for the rest of the day,
Yeah.
right? And I don't think that there's any definitive right or wrong answer to when you spend this time with yourself, right? It
Hmm.
it it could be the morning, right? You wake up if you get up early enough and you don't have a whole lot of distractions, that could be what you do, right? Some
Yeah.
people do exercise, they do yoga, they do meditation, they do all these different things. They might go for a jog. Um, I think that the important thing is figuring out what works for you, right?
Hmm.
For me, I'm not a negative person. I'm just not by nature. I'm a very optimistic, positive person. I always have been.
Hmm.
So, for me, it's not really common for me to wake up in the morning and say, shit, this day's gonna suck. Like that's just not how I look at it, right?
Hmm.
Because, it's like if there was a trash can across the room and you're walking toward it, and then you found out there was a bomb in that trash can, you're not going to keep walking toward it. You're going
Hmm.
to turn around, you're going to go the other way, right? So your day is the same thing, right? If I think that my day is going to be a bomb in a trash can, why am I going to go into it with any kind of excitement, right? So I don't know that there is for me that it has to be a morning routine. I just know the excuses that people come up with, like I
Yeah.
don't have time, or halfway through the day everything's falling apart, and they say, well, you know why this is happening? I didn't run this morning, and I
Yeah.
usually run in the morning, and because I didn't run, my whole day went to shit, and that's not a very healthy way to look at things, right? Like you're using that in your back pocket.
Hmm.
So I think that whenever you do it, I think the routine should be talk talk to yourself, get to know yourself. At the end of the day, what do you focus on? Do you focus on
Hmm.
the negative stuff? Do you walk in the door and say, "Oh, Billy called out again today," as the
Yeah.
first thing? Or do you say, "You know what? I can't do anything about the negative stuff. I'm going to focus on the positive thing that happened today."
Yeah.
And then focus that. So I don't know if I answered your question, but
No, no, absolutely. Because for me, uh, I found I used to do it in the afternoon and then evenings, and then it in the evenings almost it riled me up. So now I do it in the morning, and it took me some time to do it. And there's also still days where I don't do it.
mhm,
And if I don't do it, I feel it. It almost like you feel like something is missing.
mhm,
And I don't know if it's grounding or that focus, but it sets up your day differently. So for me,
sure,
I tell everybody if you haven't done that, just do something simple in the morning. And, whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. You need time for yourself and you need time to kind of disconnect a little bit.
yeah,
And for me, that is, I have this 20-minute practice and
mhm,
do it all the time. And then,
yeah,
and then also for me, it's so funny because I sometimes, it's this little video I have, and some days I think I don't need the video, I just do it on my own, and it's different when I do it with the video. So for me, we all need a coach. We all need
sure,
somebody who sees in us what we don't see in ourselves. So for me, single biggest impact maker. So if anybody's listening and they want to have a morning routine, first off, the first thing you need to do is you guys need to check out all the work from Chef Michael, and you guys need to reach out to him. He's absolutely a genius at that.
thank you.
And not only is he really good in what he does, is our industry is not a healthy industry. Our industry is a very high pressure industry. So how do you balance that? There's this high pressure of being a chef, even though you call yourself a 9 to 5. I don't think there's such a thing as a 9 to 5,
Mm-mm,
um, because our industry doesn't sleep.
mhm.
How do you manage that? Being highly successful in one of the best clubs in the area and being also very successful in what you do. So how do you manage your time? How do you manage you to be able to do both of that?
Well, I have to preface this by because there's a lot of parts here, right? I have to
Mhm.
preface this by pointing out something that is not necessarily within our control, but is necessary in order to build a balanced lifestyle for
Mhm.
yourself. And that is, who is your leadership team above you?
Yep.
And do they allow you the ability to build a team and a culture around you that gives you the opportunity to create balance, right?
Mhm.
And a lot of the chefs will jump to like, no, they're terrible. They don't care. Well, then we have to start talking about effective communication and seeing exactly how you tried to gain that privilege. But
Mhm.
that's another show, right? So provided that you have supportive leadership and that you're given the ability to build a team around you that supports you, then you can look at balancing out your life. I think one of the biggest mistakes I've said this on so many different platforms, and I can't say it enough. Everybody talks about work to life balance, and I hate the phrase. I think we need to stop saying work to life balance. It actually makes work bad. It makes it the enemy of life.
Mhm.
And I what I mean by that is we have all sorts of areas of our life, our financial life, our married life, our social life, our spiritual life, our sex life, all these things,
Mhm.
right? And your work life. You have to balance everything proportionately to what's most important to you, right? And, if I came home from work and I looked at my wife and I said, I really feel like I need a better marriage to life balance. Like I'm at least sleeping on the couch, but definitely having a serious conversation after that. And it's because whatever I put before life in that equation is viewed as negative,
Mhm.
and we always put work. So right off the bat, we're behind the curve. I do something with clients. I didn't invent it. It's been around, but I really like it. It's a balance wheel of life, and it basically gives you a blank map where you can map out what's most important to you in
Mhm.
life and kind of use it as a guide to adjust certain aspects. What you want your social life to be might be different than what I want my social
Mhm.
life to be. Maybe I want 80% of my focus to be work. That's okay. But then I can't also complain about not being able to see my family,
Mhm.
So you choose, you get to choose.
I love that. And with chefs, we look at that whole balance a little bit different. So help me understand, how do you have those conversations with chefs, and how do you, not just in your whole coaching philosophy, but how do you encourage them um, to prioritize self care?
The thing that I really like about the coaching model, and the way that I coach is that, we talked before about kind of the craziness of life and not being able to slow down.
Yep.
Coaching forces you to stop.
Hmm.
Coaching, when you have a coaching session, you have to stop. You made an appointment, you're sitting, you committed, and now it's just you and me. And I'm going to fire out a bunch of questions, and they're never yes or no questions. And as I listen to your answer, I hear some things that are key, and
Hmm.
I ask more questions. Eventually, you have that aha moment where you're talking to yourself as I'm asking questions, and you're like, "Oh shit, I see what you're getting at."
Yep.
And I'm not getting at anything. I'm just asking questions, but it's allowing you the space to hear yourself, and to really think about things. So for me, it's really all about listening. It's about listening and hearing what somebody is saying, and then identifying things that I think we should dig a little deeper into.
Yeah.
And I can't coach myself either, right? So I've spoken to coaches before too on my behalf. You can't do it for yourself, unfortunately,
Mhm.
and that's why I think it's so important that people take advantage of the opportunity to spend time with their own head.
Yeah, I love that. So I'm fascinated by all of that, because for me, knowing or not knowing, for me, this became my life path. And for me, yesterday, I had also the opportunity to spend some time with one of my coaches. And he's not just a coach; he's also a mentor and a really good friend. And every time I sit with him, he makes me think of things totally different. He ran $160 billion company in his career. And when I bring something up, he has a really innate ability to kind of break it down and make it actionable. And every time I leave there, I feel so energized. I see it feel so fired up because I know I have him in my corner.
Yeah.
And you talk a lot about your coaching program and that you all need somebody who you feel you have in your corner. So can you share with me a little bit, what was a success story of one of your people you were able to coach in your practice?
Oh man. So I had a client who was kind of emerging from the line level
Yeah.
of the staff into a sous chef role, um, and had a lot of outside influences from home, a lot of stresses that were not work related,
Hmm.
that we were able to address in a way that kind of created a new perspective for this person. Really looking at what the triggers were for her was really eye opening, because she was going into work and she was kind of lashing out at people,
Hmm.
very short temper, got frustrated easily. And basically for this particular individual, what we figured out, something that's common for a lot of people, is we create the end of a story before it happens.
Yeah.
And she was very good at that. And when her and her fiance were looking at a house, they put a bid in on the house, and they were pretty sure that they were not going to get the house. They had no real reason to believe that, but they had convinced themselves that they were not getting the house. So
Yeah.
they conducted themselves, she conducted herself at work as if she had already lost the house.
Yeah.
And then she wound up getting the house. And then, all that time being abrasive and being short with people, was really, I mean, it's always wasted. It's never productive. But
Yeah.
for her, it was like, geez, I was so shitty with everybody, and I didn't even have a real good reason to be other than my own stress. Um, she now is the executive chef of a property,
That's awesome.
and just, like really thriving. And I check in once in a while, and she brings that up, and it's like that makes me feel good. It's like, I never forgot what I learned um, in that session.
And it's awesome because I read a study from Harvard not long ago where they were saying the whole thing about stress and all of that 85% of things we worry about never happen. And we spend a lot of time worrying about it and making ourselves sick about it, but it usually doesn't happen. So for
Yeah,
me, that was really, a good thing to read, and you just confirmed this with your story.
yeah,
So talk to us a little bit. How do you define success between what's going on personally and professionally?
man. It's very timely that you asked that question. I just had a young man in my office the other day that was kind of struggling with this notion, and I truly believe that success is measured by happiness.
Hmm.
And I know that that sounds a little bit generic, but I think if you could be a career grill cook on a hotline for
And
30
it's
plus
totally
years,
okay. Yeah.
and if you're happy doing it, you enjoy it, you're providing whatever it is that you feel like you need to provide for anybody in your life, um, and you're happy every day,
Hmm.
there's nothing wrong with that. I think people get tied up in status and titles and money
Hmm.
to really define success, and that stuff is stuff that's for other people.
Yeah.
Right? You want money, you want a car, you want a house, you want a vacation home. That's for other people a lot of the time, right? I mean, we all like that st I'd love to have all
Hmm.
that stuff. But, people don't often go after those things for themselves only, right? So, it's happiness, right? I'm happy, but the problem is, because not the world can't see my happiness all the time,
Yep.
I don't feel like that's success. So I need to be able to show tangible evidence and material things in order to say that I'm successful, when really, you're stressing yourself out and having trouble with balance because you're chasing something that you don't necessarily need to be happy.
Yeah. You know what? Now that you say that, I absolutely, by the way, spot on. And for me, I think we also need to teach chefs that it's okay for somebody just to be a grill cook. Because I remember in my days in the kitchen, I had this guy, Eric, as my grill cook. The guy showed up on time, was just super personable. He did an amazing job putting out a great product all the time. And I said, no, you need to become my sous chef. You need to become my sous chef. And eventually he became a sous chef, and he was miserable because I wanted it more for him than he wanted it for himself. And Eric valued, being out by 4 because he's a morning guy. He was there, first thing in the morning because he wanted to spend time with his family. So for me, I think where we need to have some conversations with chefs, because sometimes, we want it more for them than they want it for themselves, and it's totally okay. It's totally
Absolutely.
okay to be a grill cook and have an amazing time doing that. And I also love the way you define balance and the way you defined happiness, because for me, and I don't tell this story often. I was in a job. I loved what I did. I didn't like who I did it for. And for me, I always wanted to have the opportunity, not just to share what I had learned over the years. I wanted to spend more time, doing stuff, sharing not just my experiences, but the things what made me where I got. I was lucky enough to get to the top 1% of our industry. But I didn't do this on my own. I had people which looked out for me. I had people which always helped me, guide me along. And I seen that a lot of chefs don't have that. And that's why I'm so fascinated with what you do, because for you, you do the same thing I do. Because we need more of us, because there's 3 million chefs currently in the US.
Right.
And I feel more than half of them have no idea where they want to go and what they want to do. And I also learned through this process that most of them are one skill away to, significantly, better their income
Yeah.
and more work-life satisfaction. And for me, I just think we need to do more of that. And, I really admire what you do, and thanks for that. So
Thank you.
my last question to you is, what advice would you give to somebody, chef, non-chef, who is striving to find that balance and confidence in their own life?
It would be a two-part answer. I would say, number one, figure out what it is that makes you really excited.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you want to get to, and what will that bring you? And do you still want to get there? Right. So
Mm-hmm.
establishing what the goal is very important on paper so you can see it. Um, I think that the other thing is to drown out the volume of everybody around you who is going to tell you that it's a mistake and you're crazy and you
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't do that, or you are the own voice in your head, Christian, that says I don't like the way I sound, or I don't like the way I look. Right. We all feel that way, but also too, you think about it, it's kind of funny when somebody says I don't like the way I sound. That's a pretty profound statement when you consider the fact that every single person they come in contact with hears that sound. So if
Mm-hmm.
you don't like the way you sound, then how do you feel that that's how you sound? Like that
Yeah.
is exactly how you sound. So I think there's a lot of people out there who are judgmental, a lot of people out there who have opinions, and I don't think any of them matter. I
Mm-hmm.
think you need to know what it is that you want and go after it, because ultimately nobody loves you more than you love yourself, and you need to pursue it no matter what.
Totally agree. That's some really good advice. And I really appreciate that this conversation. But before we wrap up, I want to know a little bit more. Where can people get a hold of you? Where can they find you if they want to know more about Chef Michael?
For my website is bebettercp.com. And that's where you really can kind of see, get a better idea of the coaching thing. And you can contact me through that app.
Mm-hmm.
The podcast, which, only a few episodes up from a couple of years ago, is Kitchen Brain Podcast. So it's kitchenbrainx.com. And then, I'm on Instagram and all that stuff, but, yeah, that's probably the best way.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. And you guys heard it here. He's gonna bring that show back. So we're gonna hold him to it. So we're gonna look for it.
Yes.
So and also to our listener, if you haven't done so, please make sure you check out our private group. It's called the Disruptive Chef Club, which is our private community where you can get the front row seat to all things we do. Also, that's the group we're using as a test market for our new programs, for our book writing courses, and everything we do. And if you haven't done so, please make sure you check out Chef Michael and follow him in all the amazing things you do. So, Chef Michael, before we let you go, we have rapid fire questions. There's 3 questions, and full transparency to all of our listeners out there. Chef Michael does not know what those questions are. So we have these questions for all of our special audiences. And so feel free to get into as much detail as you like or keep it as short as you want. So there's 3 questions. So question number 1, if giving the power to ban one ingredient forever, what would that ingredient be and why?
To ban one ingredient for
You have the magic wand. And, if it's German based, because us Austrians are better than Germans. So if it's German mustard, just get rid of it. We don't like it anyway. Nobody likes it.
Oh man, if there's one ingredient that I could get rid of forever, what would that ingredient be?
Yep.
Geez. What do I really dislike? Can we come back to that one, Christian?
Absolutely. And we had questions from just simple to ingredients. Somebody actually said chef's attitude needs to go.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right.
So we come back to that. So question number 2 is, if you were given the opportunity to have a conversation with a 20-year-old you, what would be your word of wisdom, or what advice would you give yourself if you're given the opportunity to talk to yourself for 15 minutes?
Stop lying to yourself.
By the way, you need a t-shirt. More of us need to do that. I absolutely love that. Our last question is, what is a kitchen gadget which is way overrated?
A fish spatula. Yeah, like the fish spatula with the, you know what I'm talking about. It's got all the lines in it.
Yeah.
You know what it's absolutely terrible for? Fish. It's absolutely awful for fish. The thing it's named after never happened. If somebody starts handling fish in my kitchen with a fish spatula, it's the last time that they use that fish spatula in the kitchen.
If your freezer door doesn't want to stay open, it works really great to wedge it in there.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, okay, I got you. There are some uses, yeah, but cooking fish is not one of them. Definitely should not be one
that's
of them.
the best. I haven't seen one in a very long time.
Yeah, I still see them once in a while, and
That's awesome.
I'm working on it.
Going back to question number 1, what is that ingredient you will ban forever and why?
I don't know why this is so difficult for me to answer. One ingredient. There are definitely things that I don't want to see on my plate, and I don't know why there is. I see, that's how little I think about them. Geez, and I don't want to be the guy that doesn't answer the 3 rapid fire questions. Banned forever. What is it?
Or at least put it to the back of the cupboard where, somebody doesn't see it when they come in.
Okay. All right. Italian seasoning.
You just made a lot of people very upset right now.
Let's do that. Italian seasoning. Pre-mixed Italian seasoning. Let's put it that way.
Oh my God, that's the best. People love that stuff. So. That's the best. Okay, Italian seasoning, gone it is. So, Chef Michael, first off, we appreciate the gift of your time for being here today and having this conversation with us. I really enjoyed it, and I made myself a note. We need to make a second episode, and when you bring up your podcast, we want to help you promote it and put it out to the marketplace, because I think a lot more people need to know about what you're up to, not just as a chef, but also as a human being. And as I said this, to begin with, not only you great in what you do in the kitchen and for the industry, you're an amazing human being, and we need more of that. So with that, I want to say thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Christian. I appreciate the kind words, and I do want to have you on Kitchen Brain also. And thank you for everything that you do. It's incredible work.
And no rapid fire questions.
Oh no, karma is a thing. That's a thing.
We don't like karma. So for that, guys, if you haven't done so, please make sure you check out the disruptivechef.club. Give us your information, and we keep you abreast of all the great things we do. And we also give you a little bit of glimpse of all the great people we have on our roster to bring onto the show. So until next time, Remember to disrupt the kitchen, fire up your career, stay hungry for change. I'm Christian, the Disruptive Chef Entrepreneur host. I'm signing off. So be the change, be the challenge, and be the chef who sets the world on fire. Chef Michael, we appreciate you. Thanks for being here today.